Tone Deaf is the journey of a musical theater nerd, bringing musicals into the life of their musically challenged spouse. The reactions to the musicals are real and mostly unedited. This show is for ages 14 and up, because sometimes you just need to use a swear. Now sit back, relax, and have a laugh. You're listening to Tone Deaf.
Welcome to Tone Deaf, a theater nerd's guide for their musically challenged spouse. I'm Kay, a musical theater nerd.
And I'm Warren. I'm musically challenged.
Alright, so we are gonna get into the show soon, but first, I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping and share some amazing news that still has me floored. On Thursday night, I believe it was, we were able to cross 100 downloads.
That is awesome.
Yeah, like, I was just sitting there staring at our Podbean app just going, what? No way! So, thank you guys so much for downloading this and sharing this with your friends and telling other people.
And I like to believe that, it's very common, like, not everybody who listens will download. I myself have never downloaded a podcast, but I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
So, I like to think that maybe, like, for every 10 people who listen, only one person downloads. So really, we are here to celebrate our, 1,000th listen. So thank you all out there for listening and sharing and subscribing and just coming back week after week for our tangents and our goofiness. And
seriously, we love you guys so much. And I also wanted to say, looking at the download stats, I am just so blown away. We've got, a bunch in the U.S., because that's where we are.
Makes sense.
With a lot of them being from Utah, which, thanks, Utahns. Y'all are really stepping up. Thank you.
I'm surprised. I'm I don't even know if we know that many people in Utah who know about our show.
Yeah, right? And then we've had some from the UK, some from Canada, which one of them, I am most certain, is our beloved Jasmine.
Our number one, first sponsor of our podcast.
Yes, our Supreme Alpha Patreon sponsor.
Yes, Jasmine Wu.
Yes, we love you. And then we have some from Brazil, from Myanmar, from Thailand, from New Zealand. Holy smokes.
Kay and I are on our first step to complete global domination through the medium that is podcasts.
We promise that we will be benevolent leaders.
I have my good days and bad days. But
I promise that I will be a benevolent leader.
I promise to have more good days than bad days, is what I will say, as a iron-fisted ruling overlord.
Oh boy. Maybe we shouldn't be podcasting leaders.
Kneel before me!
Oh God. But yeah, so thank you again so much. This means a lot to us, and this totally made our weeks.
It really does. And so thank you all for, we don't want to beat a dead horse, but thank you all for listening, and we really appreciate your continued support. And, every time you share it, every time you like it, if you want to review, anything that helps us reach more listeners is really great. We really appreciate it. It's one of those inspirations that keeps us going week after week to keep recording and keep producing hopefully enjoyable content for you fine podcast consumers out there.
Thank you guys again so much. Now we will hop into the show.
Woo!
So, remember back in our Singing in the Rain episode where we did a musical that started as a movie and then became a stage play?
Yes.
So we're doing another one.
Cool. So this would be a reprisal of that? Oh, no.
Not really.
Yeah.
It's like, say that you thought that you had the last unicorn, and then you go into a field and you find another unicorn.
Okay, I guess that's fair. They're two separate and unique unicorns.
Two separate, unique unicorns. It's like when we're playing Ark, and there's a unicorn that spawns once every time that you tame it. That we haven't gotten to see yet.
Because it's a big map.
Yes. So, this week, the unicorn that we're going to be covering is 7 Brides for 7 Brothers.
Which I have heard before, but I don't I know a little bit about it.
Okay, so what do you know about it?
In a nutshell, it is Stockholm Syndrome the musical.
Yep.
I know that there is woman kidnapping.
Yes.
And forcing of marriage.
Yes.
That's all I know. And based on that limited knowledge, I'm not super thrilled because I have issues with things like kidnapping and forced marriage.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that when I was a kid I loved it, and as an adult I'm just, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, right?
Ooh.
I know that a character gets married and then he decides, hey, my brothers need wives, and goes and kidnaps other women to be his brother's wives. And just that premise alone, I'm just like, no, icky. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that...
But I'm sure it's charming in its own way.
Oh, yeah, in its own way, it is a charming show. The music's really freaking catchy. So, a little bit of background. It was a film that was released in 1954.
Oh.
It starred Howard Keel and Jane Powell. The original script was written by Albert Hackett, Francis Goodrich, and Dorothy Kinsley. And it's based on the short story called The Sobbin' Women by Stephen Vincent Benet.
So sobbing women like crying?
Yes.
Like weeping women?
Yes. Now, that short story, and I already know what you're going to say, so I'm going to preemptively tell you that the word in this does not mean the same thing necessarily, because it is based on the ancient Roman story, The Rape of the Sabine Women.
Well, I did not see that coming.
In this context, they're using rape for kidnapping, not necessarily sexual assault.
Okay, that's
it's
good.
still not okay, but
it's a little bit
just
misleading.
letting you know.
Context for a word.
Yeah.
It'd be like calling it the murder of the Sabine women, but really they just got like bruised or something.
Well, because it's from the Latin rapito, which would have been used for abduction or kidnapping.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Thank you for enlightening your uncultured swine husband.
Oh, you're fine. I mean, it's not something that is common knowledge there, so you've got to just be an intense nerd to get that.
Nerd!
Yep. So the music is by Saul Chaplin and Jean DePaul, and then the lyrics are by Johnny Mercer. And Johnny Mercer wrote other classic songs like the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe. He wrote That Old Black Magic.
I think I'm somewhat familiar with That Old Black Magic.
Yeah. So he wrote a lot of standards, and so they got him for this film. The film was nominated for 4 Academy Awards and won Best Score for a Musical. There's a scene that's a barn-raising scene, and what's kind of cool is that they use choreography to sort of depict like stuff that's going on when living in the frontier. So there's a barn-raising scene, and it's a dance scene, and it's really cool.
So when you say barn raising,
yes,
2 different thoughts come into my head, and I don't want you to elaborate because I want to be surprised. I'm pretty sure I know which one it'll be, but I'm hoping it'll be the other one.
So, the show was eventually adapted for stage in 1978.
Movie first, then...
Then stage. And it had a limited tour run, but didn't make it to Broadway. The original tour actually starred Howard Keel and Jane Powell reprising their roles.
When you say it started as a tour but didn't make it to Broadway, I have this image of like it started in a caravan like in California heading to New York, and then they hit like the Rocky Mountains and things just went sideways, and
they had to eat Jane Powell.
It's like the Oregon Trail of musicals is the way that my brain is picturing it, because it's like, we started out for Broadway, but we never quite made it.
So hold on to that Oregon Trail thought there.
Oh, God.
Keep it in the back of your brain.
Oh, no. When you give me a little tidbit like that, okay. I will stash that nut away for later.
So, it was revived in 1981 and went to Broadway in 1982, and critics didn't like it. It actually had a really short run and closed in June of 1982.
Oh, snap.
And it closed despite the protests of fans of the show, as in literal picketing outside the theater protests.
So it didn't do... See, so
critics didn't like
critics
it, but
didn't like
fans
it, but,
liked it.
Okay, well, that's
but
not uncommon.
enough for it to stay in the theater.
Okay.
And the reviews were terrible. And these fans that were protesting were outside the theater basically going, "You need to retract this review! Don't hurt our favorite show!" And it had been revived kind of as a way to get Debbie Boone's name out there, which she's a singer and actress from around that time. Then premiered on the West End. Where's the West End?
West End is in London.
Yes.
It is the English version of Broadway.
Yes, and it premiered there in 1985 at the Old Vic, which we've seen before. And this one actually has a pretty decent soundtrack that I believe is still in print, and you can get the soundtrack on Spotify as well. That's actually the version that I grew up with, and it's the revival version that they were doing a lot in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s.
So the one you're talking about that's on Spotify that you grew up with, is that the English version?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's sort of the revival that was performed by community theaters.
So does everyone sing it with an English accent?
No, their accents are actually pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really amazing. 'Cause if you listen to it, you don't really catch that it's a British cast right away. There are some shows that you'll hear British revivals or British versions and just go, "Oh, that you're not able to do an American accent at all."
Are there any old-timey prospector characters in the film?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, well then,
Yeah,
I don't have an excuse to do that voice.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure there's some people going, "Thank God."
So, the next major changes actually happened in 2005 when it got revived again.
A bit of a leap.
Yes. It got revived again at the Goodspeed Opera House in Connecticut. Now, this is the version...
I love that name, the Goodspeed Opera House.
I knew you would. So this is the version that's licensed to theaters now, and it's going to be the version that we're going to be watching. We're going to be watching the performance done by an Audience of One Productions in Tennessee.
Okay.
So this is a 2-act show, so we're used to that, and it is not a song-through.
Okay, so it'll be normal interactions, and then they'll just break out into song.
Yes. And this version, being the more recent revival, they actually changed songs around. They added a few songs. When I was listening to it the other night and watching to see which version would be doing, I was sitting there going, wait, I don't remember this song. Where did this other song go? I mean, I like this song more, but where'd the other song go? I was used to do some talking points on, or I was used to this song and planning on doing talking points, but now it's gone. And this one's better.
Your entire sense of reality's been thrown
Yeah.
into question.
It was. So a little bit of background on the story itself.
Okay.
So it takes place in the 1850s in Oregon.
When kidnapping women was totally fine.
I don't think it was ever totally fine.
Well, I mean, it's
but...
definitely before women were considered people.
Oh yeah,
So-
they go into that a lot with this show.
Ah.
There are some lines in there that might make you really hate one of the main characters.
Oh, probably.
So the version we're going to be watching actually makes more mention of the Oregon Trail than its predecessors did,
Okay.
including the fate of one of the main characters' parents, and then the hardships that the Pontopee family, which is the brothers that we're going to be following, the hardships that their family went through when they started out in the frontier.
Poor Peapot family.
Oh no. I knew that this was going to happen. So, yeah, the name is Pontypee.
Peapot.
Okay. That'll be a thing.
It is now.
It is now. The original the original musical didn't hit those beats quite as much. Like, they'll mention offhand that someone died in the Oregon Trail or whatever, but they don't hit the beats as hard as they do in this version of the show. There's actually a whole song that kind of hits you in the heart a little bit regarding it.
Kicks you right in the feels.
It kicks you in the feels, but at the same time the character singing it, you're like, you're also a jerk, though.
So is it one of those songs of like, I'm a jerk and here's why?
Pretty much, and it's kind of a cool story, bro, still misogyny.
Yeah, cool story, bro, you're still a dick.
Yeah. So another little tidbit about this, because I would be remiss to not admit this. This was the first thing that I wrote private fan fiction for. So when I was like 7 and at my grandparents' house, I was writing like little scripts and stuff that I didn't share with too many people because I didn't know that the internet was a thing. So I was like typing it on my grandmother's typewriter and going, oh, I'm an amazing writer. I wrote maybe 100 pages of script for a fan script of this once.
I am going to have to see this show and then ask you questions because there will be questions.
Yeah, the scripts had nothing to do with this show. It was like crack fan fiction. It was insane. It was take 7th grade me,
who I didn't know,
who you didn't know, but take what I write now, coming from a 7th grader.
Were you murdering people left and right?
Maybe.
Okay, we're gonna have
Final Destination also came out at that same time, so...
Oh my god. Now that's a film I would see. 7 Brides for 7 Brothers meets Final Destination.
That's pretty much what it was.
Oh, okay, we're gonna have to talk about this later. I want to know more.
Yes.
And I bet these people listening do too. Kay is a great writer, by the way.
It's debatable.
No, she's a great writer.
Oh, man. Okay, so we're going to take a brief intermission and go and watch 7 Brides for 7 Brothers.
I'll get my rope and burlap sack.
Oh, jeez. All right, Warren. It's time for the best part of every intermission.
Getting snacks that we can't bring back into the theater?
Even better. Now that the lights are back up, we can look into the playbill. Here are the people who donated $5 or more to make this show possible.
And the prestigious spot of our very first Tone Deaf Patreon sponsor is Jasmine Wu. Thank you so much for your contribution to our show. We deeply appreciate it. Your contribution is what makes Tone Deaf possible.
Thank you so much. And here's a message from one of our favorite podcasts called History on Blast.
Hello, and welcome to History on Blast. I'm Hillary, and I'll be your host as we call out history. Every other week, we'll be putting a different person, place, time, or event on blast for the shit that they pulled. This ain't your grandpa's history podcast, so if this sounds like your cup of harbor tea, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast catcher.
And now, the lights are going down and the music is starting back up, so let's hop into the second act of the show. Okay, so what'd you think?
We just made it through this musical. We just made it till the end. We just made it through this musical. That Brother Adam's kind of a dick. So, yeah.
You're not wrong.
I thought it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was okay.
That's pretty much it's okay.
It had some very cute and endearing scenes, but I would not say the majority of it was that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's above You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, but it is beneath about everything else.
Okay, so even Joseph.
They I don't at this they might be
They're
boring.
neck and neck.
They might be, actually I think I might have liked Joseph more just because of the silliness and the different types of music they did. This was much more uniform. I mean, it did have a coherent story.
Yes.
Which it's got points for that. It's not like You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, where it's just all over the place. But I mean, it was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay.
That's fine.
I don't really want to necessarily hate on it, but I don't want to give it super high praise.
And it doesn't really deserve high praise.
Yeah, because the whole musical opens with what looks like a 1850s prom dance.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it looked like, just a bunch of kids dancing around. And
when I saw it in 99, it did not open that way. It just opens with Adam singing and his brothers basically being like, Adam, you gotta go get us a wife. We're starving on Gideon's cooking and stuff, but...
Oh, so that's okay.
But they cut that, so...
What was interesting is I thought the song that he was singing was Bless Your Beautiful Heart.
Yes.
And you corrected me a moment ago, before we started recording, that it was Bless Your Beautiful Hide.
Yes.
Because he's a trapper.
Yes.
And he's there to sell fur. Which, that makes more sense for him. But at the same time, that is a really, really creepy Buffalo Bill kind of attitude that he's walking into town, he's looking at all these women, bless your beautiful hide. It puts the lotion on the skin. Now get in the wagon. Like, it's a little creepy there, and it was funny before I realized that he was singing Bless Your Beautiful Hide. I was in my brain calling him Buffalo Bill. So I was like, who you singing to, Buffalo Bill? And that makes it so much better that I was hearing the song wrong, was calling him Buffalo Bill anyway, and now it turns out it was totally justified because he's a creeper who wants to skin women. I have no idea what's going on. Dance, a hootenanny, a hoedown. They're showing ladies respect, though, which is cool for 1850. There's lots of bowing and trying to be a gentleman, which is good. Buffalo Bill is creepy as fuck. Like, just the way he's eyeballing everybody.
Right.
He is assessing them like cattle.
Right.
Like, he's like, not too skinny, it's too plump. It's just right. I'm just like, dude, these are human beings.
When I was a kid, I kind of like glazed over that scene. And then it was probably when I was maybe 13 that I went, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. He's over there like going, which one of you is the best prime breeding stock?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, it gave me the EBGBs a bit on that. And, yeah. Oh, God. And what is it? He says it to a group of girls. Y'all are pretty and fresh and young. Dude, no. These are not produce. Like, he was so creepy to me. Just so creepy to me. Did not care for him at all. Spoiler, as I'm sure this is, everybody listening's probably already seen the show and everything. He does a bit of a 180 at the end, and he comes up from negative douchebaggery to kind of like maybe +1 or so. Actually, I guess for douchebaggery you want to be in the negative, so he's maybe like a -1 on douchebaggery by the end of the show, in my opinion. Well, I have it right here. Well, Buffalo Bill earned +1 to his douchebaggery. I don't remember specifically what that was for. I think it was probably just his overall creepiness around the ladies.
Yeah.
You know, it was the good old days back then in 1850 when you would meet a woman, punch a perv, sample her stew, and then ask her to marry you. You know, we messed up by dating for 6 years, Kay. Like,
yeah, we weren't doing it the right pioneer way.
no, not the right pioneer way.
No.
Oh, for a second I thought there was a spider on the wall, and I was going to be like, hold on, I have to kill that thing. It's not a spider. Don't worry, folks. We're safe.
It's a nail.
It's a nail in the wall. Used for hanging things like my fears. That it might be a spider. Anyway, back to the topic. And I just love his attitude of, come with me, Millie. I have a farm with huge tracts of land and cows and sheep. Go on, get in the wagon, woman.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess I'm kind of going a little too fast. So, brief recap. Buffalo Bill comes into town to sell his wares. Buffalo Bill. He is saying, bless your beautiful hide. He's assessing women like their livestock.
Mm-hmm.
He's a creeper. He does not deserve to be called the proper name. Buffalo Bill comes into town to sell his beaver fur and get supplies to go back to his farm and to look for a wife. He is eyeballing every woman he comes across. He... excuse me. Excuse me. He sees Millie. Immediately is like, hey, that heifer's got some nice curves. Sees the guy fondling her, basically. Beats him up, kicks him out, which I was kind of like, hey. Oh, that's where he gets the -1 to his douchebaggery. So it's like, oh, good job. Saves Millie from that perv, even though she probably could have handled herself. She's a tough lady.
Oh, yeah.
Dries her stew, says it's really good. You don't even need ketchup with this. And I'm just like, oh, who puts ketchup in their stew? I'm just, you just lost your +1, did your -1, whatever metric I'm using to gauge Buffalo Bill's douchebaggery. And then after he samples her stew, he basically just follows her out and tells her, hey, come marry me.
Yeah.
I have a farm, you're pretty, you do your chores, like,
you don't have anyone.
Yeah, you don't have anyone.
Your parents are dead.
Your parents are dead. I did like his whole thing of he basically did the whole courting in like 3 years where he's like, well, I would have done this and this and this, but since you don't have a father for me to ask, I'm gonna ask you, will you marry me? Kind of thing. And I was like, oh, he's suave, but so are lots of serial killers out there.
Yep.
Like Ted Bundy. So I'm gonna start calling him Buffalo Bundy. And then they're saying that they're never ever gonna see Millie again. Millie, if you go and live with him, we'll never see you again, ever, ever, ever. Hold that thought, girls. Never say never, not ever. You're in for a surprise, Millie.
Especially when
6
you're...
of them, actually.
Well, when you're saying that, never say never, it's like you start counting the girls saying that. And it's
I was doing
1,
that.
2,
I was
3,
actually doing
4,
that.
5, 6. Oh no!
When the girls were crowding around Millie, I was like going, "Oh, here's the rest of the herd for the brothers." And Millie singing like as they're getting ready. Well, before they are getting ready to get married, she's singing her "It's a Wonderful Day" song kind of thing. It's a wonderful day, Millie. Until you get up to that farm and are like, "Hey, what the is this?" But we haven't gotten to that point yet. She gets married and they kiss and everything's all peaches and rainbows, and then we cut to them arriving at the farm and slowly being introduced to the brothers one by one and being like, oh, do they live around here? Haha, not around here. We live here.
Yep.
And we get to meet the brothers, which I'm going to see if I didn't write any of their names down. I'm going to see if I can name them. The brothers deserve respect. Buffalo Bill does not.
Yes, the brothers are good.
So I know what his name is, but I'm not going to address him as such. So we have Buffalo Bill, we have Benjamin, we have Caleb, we have Daniel, we have... Don't tell me. Ephraim?
Yes.
Ephraim. And then we have Frank, or Frankincense.
Yep.
I have him down here as Frankenstein. I mean, I'd be angry if my name was Frankenstein, too. And then Gideon.
Yes. Got them all.
Got them all. I gotta catch them all. I got them all. I am a 7 Brides for 7 Brothers master. Marrying is for life, Millie. Until death do you part. You know what you need to do. And she's talking about that whole thing. She's upset because she did get lied to, and I just kept thinking, just poison their food, Millie. Marriage is forever until they die.
A tree could fall on him like his father.
an axe fell off the shelf and buried itself in his back. But Millie's too good of a Christian lady to she has her whole thing of, I'm not a quitter, I'm not gonna give in. And then she has her, I'm not a slave, I won't be their slave. It's 1850, Millie. You don't have rights yet. So, you have as many rights as your husband says you do.
Yeah, this play goes pretty hard on the misogyny of the 1800s. Holy smokes.
It absolutely does, and it's one of those things that's like, I can't fault it for doing that when it was so commonplace at the time. It still was wrong even for the time, but...
Honestly, I feel like people who glorify the pioneer days, especially women who do, should watch the stage version of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, because the movie kind of glosses over stuff. The stage version, it's like, oh no, this is bad.
The good old days when you had tons of children without antiseptic or anesthesia, and most of them would probably die in infancy, and if you were really lucky, you could live to the ripe old age of, 40, and then die of something that was preventable now, because we have vaccines and medicine.
We have vaccines. We have vaccines. This is our subliminal messaging moment.
Vaccines are good. They do not cause autism.
Please get vaccinated. Okay, we're done with that.
We're done with that a little bit right there. Then she won't be their slave. Well, good for you, Millie. And she had such an empowering song there. I was almost expecting her to take off her bra and burn it. That scene, but I was like, well, this is before bras existed. But
yeah,
she had very much of a woman girl power song.
Take off her corset.
Set it on fire. There you go.
Throw Adam into the fire. Yeah. Throw Buffalo Bill into the fire.
Throw Buffalo Bill in the fire. Yes, you got to call him by the right name. And I forgot his last name. It's Buffalo Bill Peapot. His last name is Peapot. I forgot that important detail, so I have it in here. Good night, Mr. Peapot. But Millie, I said good night, sir. Because he goes up there to be like, I'm sorry, I lied to you and misled you to get you to come up here, but I knew you wouldn't marry me if I told you the truth, because the best way to start a marriage is with a lie.
I was going to say with lie. That's what Millie needs.
That's what you use to dispose of the body after you kill him.
That's what she needs.
But, because marriage is totally not at all about trust, and starting it off with a lie is totally not planting horrible seeds of future despair. But enough for that. Millie is a mighty wingman, or wingwoman, I should say, because she immediately takes to trying to civilize the boys.
Yes.
Teaching them how to be gentlemen, to do things like wear clean clothes and just be civilized. I mean, they are a bunch of rowdy man beasts, but it's kind of hard to blame them when you find out later that for a very long time their parents have been dead and they just had their older brother to raise them, and so it's just been kind of a boys will be boys type thing, which was much more acceptable back then, I guess, especially if you're living out in the mountains. And then
it's before you realized what being a human was.
Yeah, and then everybody in this musical is so thirsty. I mean, it's 1850, when bodies were evil and everything about us, our natural functions was to be ashamed of, but the boys are all just like, now I want a woman. And then they get into town and it's like 1950s, so you think you can dance.
1850?
Yeah, thank you. 1850s, so you think you can dance, or is it Dancing with the Hillbillies? One of those two shows.
Dancing with Mountain Men.
Dancing with Mountain Men. And I thought, the boys did a good job of, I thought, being very civilized and trying to show the ladies that they are worthy of their affections, and then unfortunately they get into a brawl. And then they end up going back to the cabin to tend their wounds because they're all very sad. And I did think it was a little unreasonable of Millie to be as upset with them as she was.
With all the other... Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is like they were defending themselves. And I know she was like, oh, be meek and turn the other... No.
Yeah.
You have the right to defend yourself. If somebody attacks you, you defend yourself. And so when the boys beat the crap out of all the other guys, I was like, yeah, if anything, that kind of displays to the women they're interested in. See, I can protect you in case there is trouble. So I was like, you know, hey, good for you guys. But they got in trouble from Millie. Millie was mad at Buffalo Bill. Buffalo Bill got +1 douchebag points for saying that all women are the same. Gideon got +1 sweet man points for, you know, just he misses his girl. And he thinks he's in love. And as we all, this is going to sound really bad, as we all know, our first love is the only love. Granted, this is 1850, where you were supposed to get married before doing anything. So I'm sure that he would have. I'm sure they'll work out. We'll see the 7 divorces for 7 siblings later.
My fan scripts were all set after the musical, so
nice. And then we got -1 intellect for Millie. Poor Millie. I don't feel like it was, like I touched on this, don't feel like it was fair for her to be as upset with the boys as she was. Especially with her line of like, I know you did the best you could. It was like, that's the Millie equivalent of, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And it was like, oh, Millie. No, Millie. Bad Millie. Don't tell the boys. Just sit there and let your ass get kicked.
Yeah, and normally, like, it's even more clear that the boys did not start that fight.
Yeah, I thought it was... And they say that. They're like, they
they
jumped
did
out.
not start it, and it's just, yeah, that always bothered me.
Yeah, and the boys are just all pent up. They're probably all, you know, virgins living up there in the mountains. They see women that they like for the very first time, and that's all they can think about. Buffalo Bill basically comes in, oh, you're thirsty? Well, let's just go and take those women, you know, like things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Frankenstein was the first one to strike, nabbing his woman with a... It was made me laugh, like, when they had the blankets. I was like, I think a burlap sack would have been better. You put it over them, haul them like a sack of potatoes. I've never kidnapped a woman, but that's how I would if I did
I'm glad. Meow.
Throw that disclaimer. I love that. His meow was so bad. I could do it much better, man.
So, when I was younger, Caleb was my favorite brother. The older I am... Well, that and... Caleb's always played by a blonde, and that was kind of my thing when I was a kid, and now...
I was gonna say, it was? I'm blonde.
I still have a thing for blondes.
No.
Yeah, and so it was one of those things where it's like, oh, that's the one I like, and now that I'm older, I'm like, Gideon's the best brother. Gideon is the greatest one.
See, Kay, I'm not as shallow as you. I don't limit myself to such things as, like, hair color or anything like that. Like, the most important thing for me is that someone is nice and enjoyable to be around. You see, personality is more important
like 11.
than any physical characteristic. I say that knowing fully well that I have to think someone is cute first, but...
And I was 11 and thought I was completely straight, so...
Yeah, that's true. We all make mistakes. And then I did think it was funny when they're fleeing with their loot. I was like, I want to say when they're fleeing with their booty, and I was kind of like, well, that is more accurate with their booty loot. And then they intentionally trigger an avalanche to cover their tracks. I was kind of like, that's a little bit risky. Avalanches aren't exactly known for their reliability on pathing.
Yeah. They have as good of pathing as dinosaurs in Ark.
And that's about fairly... Yeah, well, let's just say they'll go wherever they want to go. Buffalo Bill has reached new heights of douchebaggery.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot one of my best lines in here. Avalanches are a very effective means of combating one's enemies. Just ask Mulan.
Where she killed 10,000 people.
Well, to be fair, they were
they were a murdering
horde,
but Mulan has the highest body count.
Yeah, and then Buffalo Bill, he reaches his new heights of douchebaggery. Just basically, when he gets really upset that Millie is like, no, you kidnap these girls, they're going to live in here, you're not going to be anywhere near them, because she sees the writing on the wall. She's like, these boys are pent up and horny, and these girls are scared and frightened. I don't want anything going on.
Yeah.
And then Buffalo Bill does his, this is my douchebag song. Where were you when I justified why I'm a prick? You might not like me, but that's 'cause I'm a dick. That was his whole song, like, I'm tough because my pa was tough, and a woman needs to stand by her man.
That song is better than what was originally there, because that song got changed.
You told me about that.
Yeah, the original song was A Woman Has to Know Her Place.
I would have torn my freaking hair out if I had to sit through and listen to that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they reprise it. The scene with Gideon later, they reprise that with Gideon basically giving Adam a tongue lashing about it, but...
Yeah.
Oh...
That makes me laugh, though. Because I could just, like, depending on where you played... Like, if you played the original one, that original song, I could see it being used as a means in some places to be like, see, women just need to listen to their men.
Ooh.
Men know what's best. And just being like, ugh. God gave you a brain, but don't you dare use it.
Gonna need to shower after that.
Yeah, that's true. Winter sucks. It keeps you from getting laid. That and kidnapping.
Yeah.
We've got to make it through the winter. That was probably my favorite song.
Yeah, that's my favorite song still.
That was my favorite song. It was very upbeat, and it just made me laugh so much because the entire song was, we're horny, but we have to behave, otherwise we won't get laid in the spring.
Yep.
That was the entire subtext of that song, and it just made me laugh because it was so upbeat. Yeah, and then they're talking about the line in there of, you can't give vows to a cow, kind of thing, and that kind of made me have the thought of, like, that means they're looking at those cows going, the cow has nice curves. Like, these boys are a little pent up, and yeah. And then Gideon goes up to see Buffalo Bill in his man cave shed where he's pouting and killing beaver.
And cleaning a saddle the entire...
He's taking out his aggression on animals, I'm sure. But and then he lets Buffalo Bill know that Millie had a baby. And he's like, a baby? He's like, it was a girl. And he has his attitude of like, gosh, she had a girl just to spite me. I thought he was about to go all Henry VIII up there. Like, yeah. He was like, I gotta get me a new wife, one who will have me a son. I was like, ooh. It's like, I know that this is before genetics, but it's your fault that it's a girl. So if you're unhappy with that. And then he goes to meet his darling little daughter and tells the boys to go pack the wagon because we're taking the girls back. And there's a bit of a hoopla about that. And that's when he gets to have his bonding moment with Millie again. And gets to hold his baby. And what's her name? Hannah. And I kept thinking, Hannah, Hannah, Bobana, Banana, Nana, Fofana. Your dad's a douche. But he did, that's when he had, like, his heart grew 3 sizes that day style moment because, you know, he's holding his daughter and he's like, oh, if someone had taken my daughter the way that I took those girls, I'd kill him! I'd kill him! Like, which is, you know, it's fair. I mean, I think any good father would feel that way.
I didn't realize that women were human beings until I held this little girl.
Right, exactly. I didn't realize women weren't just things until I had a little child of my own, and I realized, I feel the switches flipping off in my brain saying that I need to protect and nurture this tiny human so it can grow up to be a bigger human.
Gosh.
But, and I thought it was funny that the girls ran away because they didn't want to go back to town.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of funny.
Stockholm Syndrome, the musical.
Stockholm Syndrome, the musical. They were kept up there all winter, only exposed to those 6 boys, and they're like, it's love!
Yeah.
It's like, no.
No, it's not.
No. You guys are lucky that things worked out the way they did. But I thought it was interesting, the chase scene where they're trying to find the girls, and the villagers are up there with guns trying to find the guys and the girls, and the entire time it's going back and forth, I just kept thinking, this needs to be put to Benny Hill music, you know, because it's just and then it made me laugh when they have all the boys rounded up and the villagers are holding guns at them and they hear the baby cry and they're like, whose baby is it? Girls, we won't be mad at you, but tell us, whose baby is it? And they're like, it's mine.
Yeah.
It was one of those, I'm Spartacus. No, I'm Spartacus. No, I'm Spartacus. Like,
I'm Spartacus and so's my wife.
I'm Spartacus and so's my wife. But, you know, then things work out because they're all able to actually get married,
Mm-hmm.
and Millie and Buffalo Bill renew their vows, basically,
Mm-hmm.
Along with all their brothers. And it made me laugh because I was like, well, sure does make remembering your anniversary easy.
Yeah.
So,
Because they all got to remember that anniversary because it's the same friggin' day.
it's the same friggin' day. And, yeah, I mean, the show ended on a positive note, which
Yeah.
I appreciate because I did not like the source material
Yeah.
for that musical, and it definitely didn't end like Bat Boy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. It was okay,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. If you think it's the greatest musical ever, that is totally fine.
I will be surprised if you're over a certain age.
I am glad that you enjoy it. I'm a little concerned, but I'm glad that you enjoy it. It had some catchy stuff in it. I still think We Gotta Make It Through the Winter's probably the song that's going to get stuck in my head, because I enjoyed it.
It's a fun song.
It's a fun song.
So.
And it's a cute show
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of creepy and definitely wrong in a number of ways.
Yes.
And I don't know if I would ever really want to watch it again.
That's perfectly fine.
There's plenty of musicals out there that I could see multiple times. I do not think this is one of them.
That is okay. I did, but again, I was a hyper-fixated kid. So,
And with time, I will come to forgive you.
well, I was a kid.
Okay.
It was one of my hyperfixations, kind of like Peanuts used to be a hyperfixation.
Enough time has passed, Kay.
Yes,
I forgive you.
yes. But yeah, so it's one of those shows that I was debating on when to do it because I loved this show for about 2 years maybe as a kid, and then just kind of started going,
You started being old enough to realize the things that were wrong with it.
Yeah, and so it's one of those shows that kind of like with You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, it holds a place in my heart, but it's not one that I would watch over and over again now. And I mean, I saw one of the productions, like one of the live productions of this over and over. Now the movie, I watched it maybe 2 or 3 times because I was trying to like the movie, but the men all looked inbred, and so I really couldn't get over that.
Those mountain folk.
Like,
What made me laugh is I'm glad it holds a special place in your heart and not a blanket over your face.
I'm glad that that's not how we met.
You're cute. Get in the car.
Ooh. Ooh.
I'm gonna take you to my house and you're gonna live with me.
Oh, gosh. Ooh. Ooh.
Oh.
Alright, so, next week is Holy Week.
The week leading up to Easter?
Yes. And so, we're going to be doing one that was kind of a tradition for me growing up. Both when I was growing up in elementary school and then high school going to church. It's one that I used to watch all the time, and then I ended up getting to do twice. So we're going to be doing Godspell.
Cool. I know a couple of those songs because I've heard you play them in the car before.
Yep.
But I don't know that much of it.
It's one of my favorite shows.
I know it's one of your favorites.
Yeah. We'll get into why and all of that next week.
Yay!
Thank you so much for listening. We truly hope you enjoyed this. Please follow us on Twitter at Tone Deaf Musical and like, share, and subscribe.
If you loved it, tell your friends and spread the word. If you want to go above and beyond, please donate to our Patreon, which is also Tone Deaf Musical.
That's it for this week. I'm Kay,
I'm Warren.
and this has been
Tone
Tone
Deaf.
Deaf.